It's really simple. The theory about what you need to do when you teach an owner how to give a dog an injection is that they have to understand that they're doing a deal with the dog. What owners tend to do and what vets tend to do is they really focus on the method of injection and that the insulin has to get into the dog. What I focus on is that it has to be quick. That I don't care if the dog gets any insulin, but there's going to be one go at the insulin injection and it's going to take less than 1 second. And then the dog is going to get a reward. And that's all the dog has to learn, that this thing is going to happen. And then this is how you get a reward. You first of all obtain consent for the dog. So you don't sneak up on a dog and give them an insulin injection. They know they're getting an injection. They can smell the insulin. They can feel it. They can see it. So you can't trick them, which is a very common approach that's used. So first of all, people, what they do is they fuss about. They pick up a bit of skin, they touch it, they pick up another bit of skin. And so what I say to people is that if I was to say I am going to pinch you once or twice a day for the rest of your life, you would say to me, well, I'd rather you didn't. But then if it was, well, this is going to happen, what I would do is I would say, I'm going to pinch, oh, no. Oh, I'm going to pinch you soon. Like, if you do that for 10 minutes, you're going to say, do it now, And then if I could have something really good, like a Tim Tam afterwards, then I'd come running for the pinch if I wanted the Tim Tam. And that's how dogs think. So you have to give them the right signals. You have to say, this is about to happen and it's going to be quick and you are always going to get a reward. And so the first thing that the dog needs to learn is the idea that there's going to be a reward and that something's going to happen and then get a reward, because she's running all over the room and she has to come to a particular spot, which is where we're standing with the chicken, and she has to actually sit. And while she's sitting, she gets the chicken. And it's just done a number of times. And then, of course, rather than running all over the room, she's standing there looking at the chicken. And as soon as she says sit, it's instant. She sits and gets a chicken. Then the next step is I get the owner to just pick up a pinch of skin within 1 second on the back of her neck. And then she gets a piece of chicken. And then we start getting a pen ready right in front of her. At one point, she actually is so curious about the pen that she sniffs it and realizes that, well, that's not chicken, but she's beginning to realize that the pen's part of the deal. And then what we do is we either use the pen without a needle on it, or we use an actual pen, like just a
writing pen, not an injecting pen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they've often got a clip.
Yeah.
And basically, if you do it, you end up putting a dot of ink on the back of the dog's neck, So you pick up the skin, touch with something that's not a needle, and click. And then the dog gets a chicken reward. And as you progress through the videos, you can see the dog is learning really fast. She's curious, she's getting it. And I'm reinforcing with the owner all the time that it's only 1 second. It has to be really quick. There's a deal being made, and the dog's going to sit still while it's done. And the owner is going to do it quickly, and the owner is going to do a reward. And then we put a needle on the pen. It's primed in front of the dog watching as the insulin squirts out, and we can smell the insulin, the dog can smell it, and then the owner, for the very first time by herself, without any restraint of the dog, gives and when the first time that she starts doing something with the neck, the dog actually looks around to sort of see what's going on, but not any distress, not fighting it. But when she actually puts the needle in, the dog doesn't even turn around. She's totally focused on the chicken. And from the next morning, that owner has been giving insulin injections once a day without any problem. And that was a dog that was being dramatic and had to go to a vet clinic to have her daily insulin injection. And that was why she was referred to me.
So the injection technique, it's classic Pavlovian conditioning. It's basically chicken first, chicken touch your neck. When I touch your neck, you get chicken. So you're like, oh, cool, you can touch my neck. And then click on your neck. And it's going to get to the point where as soon as the dog sees that syringe, it's going to start drooling and going, oh, yeah, chicken time, baby.
Yeah. And so every vet will understand this, but it's not the way they're currently teaching people. And I think the key thing is that I tell people, I don't care if the dog gets any insulin or not, or the cat, I just want the dog to stay still while there's a pinch. They're getting the injections in reliably within a week, but it's the fear of not getting the insulin in properly. It's all this talk about the fact that They have to get the insulin in or the dog will die. But if you give too much insulin, the dog might die. It's just a stupid way of teaching people to give injections. And then they clip a bit of hair. I mean, vets and nurses learn how to give insulin injections through hair. And it's worse for people with needle phobia to watch the needle go through the skin. Basically, if you point something sharp towards a dog's or a cat's skin, it goes through. It just does. We know that. So it's about maintaining the human animal bond. It's making sure that it's thinking about the animal's experience rather than their own, and doing a reasonable deal, which is stay still, have this little thing, and you get something really good.
I like that reframe to say at the initial stages, we're not so worried about it actually just going in. Because you're right, that's what causes the faff. Because people want to check. I know myself when I learned, you want to make sure it's in, so then you'll stab it again, and you faff because you're hesitant. And it's literally just go stab it, and if it's not in, well, we'll get there. In a week or two, we'll get it reliably. That's clever. I
I
like
actually
that.
had to tell someone recently to stop doing what she was doing when she was explaining. She said that her cat wouldn't take it, and she picked up this cat and she's stroking the cat, and the tail started flicking, and then she keeps stroking it, and she said, "I really try and calm her down." I said, "The cat's getting riled up here. Like the cat tolerated being picked up and being touched for 3 seconds." And then wasn't coping anymore. So if you extend this for 15 seconds and then give them an injection, you could have been finished after 1 second.
Yeah.
And again, from the next day, she had no trouble giving injections. But I had to say, I have to stop you. Like she was showing me what she does, and I said, I can't watch this any longer. And it starts flicking its tail. It really
Yeah.
is saying,
Yeah.
my fuse is getting shorter.
It's like a
And
timer, isn't it? I always go, okay, the timer's
yes,
started. Now you have about 30 seconds, and then you need to be done with what you're doing.
that's right. And so basically, it only takes 1 second to give an insulin injection. And if you haven't succeeded in that time, you just have to wait for the next injection time.